Welcome back to another episode of Cellar Dwellers Film Reviews, where today we'll be talking about Marvel and Disney's latest blockbuster, Deadpool and Wolverine. I think the biggest takeaway from this movie... So I think the biggest takeaway from this movie is that this is the team up that comic fans have been waiting for years and years. I mean, the last time we saw Hugh Jackman on the screen was Logan in 2017. Which is not a movie that we've talked about on this channel, but it's certainly one that's worth a watch. At this point, being the third Deadpool movie, everyone pretty much knows what to expect from the character, but Hugh Jackman's Wolverine was a bit of a wild card in this situation, since we've never seen him in an MCU setting. It's really good to know that Disney committed to this hard R rating of Deadpool and didn't cut any corners.
As Andrew mentioned, seeing Hugh Jackman reprise his role as Wolverine was something I think everyone in the audience was awaiting for. And definitely throughout the film, Deadpool hints at Hugh Jackman that he could be doing this till he's 90, and I really think he could.
I think that Hugh Jackman probably had a lot of fun on this movie, and selfishly, I'd like to see Hugh Jackman at least one more time in Secret Wars, maybe teaming up with a Spider-Man, maybe a new Captain America. Really, anything goes.
Seeing Spider-Man Wolverine in a movie in the current stage of the MCU would be something I think everyone would appreciate.
It's very apparent that Hugh Jackman as Wolverine brought 110% in this movie, even just a little bit more than he did for Logan. I think that while Logan ushered in an era of a swearing, bloody, violent Wolverine, he really got to flourish in this Deadpool landscape.
I don't know what looks better, Hugh Jackman not in his suit and seeing his killer bod, or seeing Hugh Jackman in the long-awaited classic Wolverine look, not only to mention the classic yellow suit, but also the mask.
Hot as hell. Carrying on this trend that was introduced in Logan, this Wolverine brings about another level of nuanced and emotional performance, but at the same time does not sacrifice the rage that the character's foundation is built on.
I don't know about you, Andrew, but something that I loved that was the main focal point of this movie in the title was the chemistry between Deadpool and Wolverine, and not only the characters themselves, but the great acting dichotomy between Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds.
I think the only two people on this planet that wanted this movie more than us fans were Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds. Anything I've seen of them doing the press tour for this movie looks like they're just two best friends having an absolute blast together. When you see this relationship on screen, it really brings about the sort of obviousness to their connection with each other. The lighthearted jokes of Deadpool and the arrogant rage from Wolverine really creates this sort of twisted sense of camaraderie between the two. One thing we noticed when seeing this movie is that obviously we know how Ryan Reynolds is going to act as Deadpool, and we know that it's going to be fantastic. But Deadpool and Wolverine as a movie felt a lot more like a Marvel franchise movie than the third part in the trilogy.
Kind of ironic that the whole movie, Ryan Reynolds consistently, as Deadpool does, breaks the fourth wall, making numerous jokes at the current stage of the MCU, pointing fun at it, pointing fun at Disney. Yet this entire movie felt way more of a Marvel MCU Disney-based film than the previous two Deadpool films felt.
Just with a lot of swearing and a lot of blood and gore. I mean, one of the first scenes in the movie, Deadpool is exhuming Wolverine's corpse and later uses all of the adamantium bones to kill TVA agents.
All dancing to a classic NSYNC song.
That's true. Part of the reason that made me think this way is how the movie handled Deadpool's friends like Negasonic Teenage Warhead and Colossus. Where the first two movies were really concerned with Deadpool building these relationships with other X-Men and other characters in his universe, this one sort of pushed them to the side in exchange for a buddy cop movie for Deadpool and Wolverine. And I know that's the title of the movie, but I think that just reinforces our idea of how it's a franchise movie rather than a threequel.
It was great seeing X-23 back in the film alongside Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. I definitely felt a little more lighthearted her role in this than Logan, clearly being a completely separate type of film, which segues into the next topic, which is bringing all these other cameos and interesting other characters that appear in the void.
And I think X-23's role in this movie, as you said, was a little bit more lighthearted because in Deadpool and Wolverine, X-23 sort of filled the role of an action hero, whereas in Logan, her character was more of an emotional anchor for Wolverine. In the same sense, if we're talking about action heroes that we see in the void, I've got them listed right here. Probably not all of them. I probably missed a couple, but I've got an extensive list. Stop. There's going to be significant spoilers for Deadpool and Wolverine ahead. Do not continue watching this video until you've seen it, and come back when you have. We've got Wesley Snipes' Blade, Jennifer Garner's Elektra, a Gambit played by Channing Tatum, X-23, Brown Suit Wolverine versus the Hulk, comic accurate short Wolverine, Chris Evans as the Human Torch, Tyler Mane Michael Myers as Sabretooth, and Henry Cavill as the Cavalrine.
I think all these cameos perfectly fit into the overall theme of the movie, which is unexpectedness, characters you may have forgotten about completely.
And probably did.
And also important characters that have had more prominent roles, such as Blade, Elektra, Sabretooth, and my personal favorite, which really got people guessing in the beginning, Human Torch.
Who swore like a truck driver. And
Yes.
come to think of it, I don't think Age of Ultron Captain America would have been too happy with his language.
Nope, definitely not happy with his language.
Language.
So as great as the Human Torch was to see, I know there was a bunch that you wanted to see that we unfortunately didn't get to see.
Yeah, that's true. While I am happy with the collection of characters that we did get, there was a point where you'll remember I was vigorously hoping for Ben Affleck's Daredevil to show up.
Imagine having Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill in a Marvel film.
We almost had it. We almost had it, buddy.
Close.
But I did also really like seeing the Brown Suit Wolverine versus the Hulk, even though it was way too short for my liking. It's kind of a running theme here where I'm always the one saying maybe it could have added an extra 15 minutes of runtime.
Definitely would not have been against that.
I don't know if this movie really needed it, but again, it's a Deadpool and Wolverine movie, so really who's going to be complaining about more runtime?
You know what they say, the more the merrier.
We mentioned her previously, but I think the most important character addition was X-23. I mean, she's the one that really grounded Wolverine in Logan, and I think that having her inclusion and making it the same X-23 from Logan helped this Wolverine find his own path. But that being said, I think that some of these characters being in the movie led to some sort of narrative confusion. On top of the fact that Deadpool went to visit the 616 in 2018, having someone like this X-23 in the movie suggests that X-23 was ripped from Deadpool's universe to be sent to the Void. And at the same time, when would Logan have taken place in the Deadpool universe? If he mentioned it in Deadpool 2 as happening already, but I was always under the impression that Logan happened in a distant future.
I think as we've seen, and as they humorously point out in this film, how the recent inclusions on the multiverse has been miss after miss after miss. That was kind of applied in this film with that very topic.
Yeah, and it being a Deadpool movie, I don't think it's something we really need to read too deeply into, especially considering that the TVA from Loki has its hands in all points in time and dimensional travel.
It's really one of those things, the more you think of, the more your head will hurt.
Yeah, so we're not going to do that anymore. The two things in this movie that were absolutely spot on were the fight choreography and the humor.
The humor in this new Deadpool film picked up right where the last two left off. The constant breaking of the fourth wall, Ryan Reynolds poking fun at the MCU and the universe entirely, especially the scene, we all seen it, we all love it, when he physically goes up to the camera, takes the camera, rips the microphone, says screw you to Fox, 20th Century Fox, and then takes the microphone and says I'm going to Disney World. 10 out of 10, no notes for humor.
Deadpool does tell the nerds to get their spectral socks ready right before Deadpool and Wolverine throw down for the first time, and honestly, I don't think he's too far off in that assumption. The fights between those two characters, and believe me, there were more than a few, are always bloody and violent. The first one even taking choreography from when Spider-Man fights Flash Thompson in the high school in the first Spider-Man movie. I mean, I know I wouldn't want to fight him.
I wouldn't want to fight me either. As great as the fight choreography was, I was never expecting a fantastic fight scene to take place within a Honda Odyssey to the theme of You're the One That I Want from the film Grease. Perfect.
Yeah, it's really something that sort of subverts expectations and really goes against the tone of the scene that you're watching, which is, I think, something that Deadpool is really great at doing. But hearing Olivia Newton-John on the screen while Deadpool and Wolverine are beating the hell out of each other, perfect.
That's another topic that I love about every Deadpool film, but especially this one, the soundtrack. perfectly fits every single scene that the song is in.
Yeah, this one even had Madonna in it.
Like a prayer baby. So I think the biggest takeaway, biggest question that I had from this movie is where do things go from here?
Yeah, seeing as this movie was really, as we mentioned, a Marvel franchise flick, how does this contribute to the later storytelling of Deadpool and Wolverine? I know they made a couple of jokes in the TVA of Deadpool in Thor's arms at some future date, but at the same time, it almost feels like this movie was a little bit of a send-off, and I don't know a single person that would hope that that's the case.
Maybe I'm just being hopelessly optimistic, but I really hope that this film propels the MCU back to its old glory days.
Maybe Deadpool and Wolverine is the jumping off point that the MCU really needs to move away from that one guy at the end of the Loki TV show and maybe move towards a more multiversal storyline that's built around mutants.
That would be the hope, especially now, only that I found out last night that Disney has the full rights to the X-Men universe. Hopefully they can do something with that.
Yes, they do. And you know what, Christian? You're not the only one hoping that, because you've got at least one other person sitting next to you that hopes the same thing. Here's hoping that the future of the MCU looks brighter than the last couple of years, and I think Deadpool and Wolverine is a great place to start.
Definitely won't be hard to do.
With that, this has been a Cellar Dwellers Film Review. I've been Andrew, he's been Christian. Thanks for watching.